You're 18 years old, standing at the mouth of a drift mine in Mingo County, West Virginia. The belt air hits your face. It smells like wet rock and diesel. The section boss hands you a hard hat with a red sticker on the front. Everyone underground will know what that sticker means. You don't touch anything without permission. You don't go anywhere without an escort. You are a red hat. And the mountain does not care how badly you need this job. 40 years later, a federal inspector walks your operation, checks your ventilation maps, your roof control plan, your pre-shift examination records, and shakes your hand on the way out. You've put 2,200 men underground over a career, and you brought every single one of them back. Between those two moments sits an industry that has killed 104,000 American miners since 1900, that pays a certified mine foreman $95,000 a year in Kentucky today. And that is disappearing faster than the seams it chases. This is every level of a coal miner's career in America, and what it actually costs to climb. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1, the Red Hat. You're 18. The MSHA Part 48 new miner training is 40 hours long before you ever see a working section. Your company pays for it, but the time is yours. 8 hours of surface training first. Hazard recognition, emergency procedures, and the miner's rights poster on the break room wall that nobody reads. Until something goes wrong. Then, 32 hours of underground training with an experienced miner assigned to you personally. His name is Dale. He's 44, missing the top of his left index finger, and he will tell you the same thing 3 times before he decides you've actually heard it. The pay? Union operation. $22.45 an hour on the current UMWA agreement. A non-union mines, Central Appalachia starts between $18 and $21. The Bureau of Labor Statistics puts the median for all mining machine operators at $61,480 a year. The bottom 10% earns $38,920. You are the bottom 10% and you know it. The section is 4,000 feet from the portal. You ride the man trip in a low rail car moving at 12 miles an hour through a tunnel that is 54 inches tall in places. You learn to sit with your head down. You learn this the hard way on day 2, when the ceiling drops and your hard hat takes the hit instead of your skull. Dale doesn't say anything. He just watches you check the hat for cracks. Exactly the way he showed you to. Your job is cleanup and support. You move supplies, pull belt structure, shovel spillage, swap ventilation curtains, everything the experienced men don't have time to do. The dust is the first thing that surprises you. It hangs in the beam of your cap lamp like snow that never falls. You learn to wear the respirator without being told after the 3rd day. The guy who trained Dale didn't wear one for 22 years. He's on oxygen now at 62. Never smoked a cigarette in his life. Black lung disease was supposed to be nearly eliminated by the 1980s. Instead, NIOSH reported in 2018 that it had reached its highest level in 25 years. In Central Appalachia, 1 in 5 miners with 25 or more years underground shows evidence of the disease. You are 18 years old. The math on that statistic is a long way from landing on you. But Dale knows the math. Dale wears the respirator. So you wear the respirator. By month 3, the red sticker comes off. The section boss doesn't make an announcement. He just stops watching your every move. That's how you know. Level 2. The continuous miner operator. You're 24. 6 years of underground time, and the section boss put you on the Joy continuous miner 2 years ago. The machine weighs 90 tons, runs on 995 volts of trailing cable, and the cutting drum at the front chews through coal, seams at a rate that determines whether the section makes its production quota for the shift. Your hourly on the UMWA scale is $28.67. A skilled continuous miner operator at a productive longwall operation clears $70,000 to $85,000 a year with overtime built in. The noise is 98 decibels at the operator position. OSHA's permissible limit without protection is 90. You wear dual protection, plugs and muffs, and you still feel the machine vibrating in your chest cavity for an hour after every shift. The roof is your constant religion. You watch the roof bolts for movement. You watch the ribs for sloughing. You watch the floor for heave. Every experienced miner develops a sense for ground behavior that is not taught in any classroom. It is accumulated in small silences, when the mountain shifts and every man on the section stops moving for half a second just to listen. The section foreman tracks your footage numbers on a whiteboard at the end of every shift. Good operators cut 1,200 to 1,500 tons per shift. The pressure to cut and move is constant. But the pressure to cut fast is where men get hurt. In 2010, the Upper Big Branch mine exploded. 29 miners died. The investigation found accumulated methane and coal dust, inadequate rock dusting, ventilation systems that had been manipulated to pass inspections, and a production culture that made speaking up about safety hazards a career-ending move. It was the worst American mining disaster in 40 years. You know the names. Every working miner in Appalachia knows the names. You do your methane checks at the start of every cut without being asked. Your back is already talking to you at 24. The seam height on your section runs 42 to 48 inches. You work every shift bent at the waist or on your knees. An orthopedic surgeon in Beckley notes that underground coal miners present with lumbar degeneration 15 to 20 years ahead of the general population. You bought a good back brace in Logan for $47, and you wear it every single shift. You start sitting for your shot firer certification on weekends. The exam is administered by the state, requiring 40 hours of classroom instruction, a written exam, and a practical demonstration. It costs $400 to $600 out of pocket. The pay bump on the other side is worth every Saturday spent in a classroom instead of on the river. Level 3, the shot firer. You're 28. The West Virginia Office of Miners' Health, Safety and Training issued your blasting certificate, and your hourly jumps to $31.20. You are now the man responsible for every explosive charge placed underground. MSHA regulates every gram of it. Permissible explosives only. Written shot records for every blast. Pre-shift and on-shift examinations before any charge is set. The magazine where the ANFO and boosters are stored is inventoried every morning. Any discrepancy stops work until it is resolved. The federal license under the Safe Explosives Act adds another layer. The ATF. Background checks, responsible person designations, storage compliance inspections. The application fee is $100, renewed every 3 years. You carry more regulatory paperwork than any other man on the section. But the weight of the job is not the paperwork. The weight of the job is knowing that a bad shot in a low seam with methane present is not a mistake you make twice. In January 2006, the Sago mine trapped 13 miners after an explosion. 12 of them died waiting for a rescue team that came too late. They found only one survivor. The investigation cited inadequate seals and an ignition source in an area that should have been inert. The seals did not hold. You think about seal integrity differently after Sago. Every shot firer in West Virginia does. Your take-home is $58,000 to $65,000 a year now, depending on overtime. The schedule is grueling. 10-hour shifts, 4 days on, 3 days off, rotating. Your body adapts to the rotation the way a ship adapts to a list. You are never entirely level on your days off. Then, a section foreman slot opens up. The mine superintendent calls you into the office on a Thursday and tells you to think about it over the weekend. You didn't need the weekend. Level 4. The section foreman. You're 33. The West Virginia Mine Foreman Certificate took 18 months of preparation. It's a comprehensive written exam covering ventilation, roof control, electricity, explosives, first aid, and the entire body of state and federal mining law. The pass rate hovers around 40%. You passed on your first attempt. Your salary is $78,000 to $92,000 depending on the operation. You are salaried now. The overtime you used to bank is gone and you feel its absence in the first few months, until the authority settles in and starts to feel like compensation of its own kind. You are responsible for every single person on your section. Every pre-shift examination is yours to conduct and record. Every hazard you find, you correct, or you idle the section until it is corrected. Every report you sign carries your certificate number. If a man gets hurt on your watch, the MSHA investigation begins with your records. There are 11 men on your section. You know the name of every one of their wives. You know which ones are carrying debt, which ones are hunting for a transfer, and which ones will run toward a problem instead of away from it. That last category is the one you build your section around. The roof takes a bad roll on a Tuesday in February. A section of draw rock lets go behind the last row of bolts. 40 tons of material, falling right where your scoop operator was sitting 20 minutes earlier. No injuries. Equipment undamaged. You idle the section, file the report, revise the roof control plan with the engineer, and have the area rehabilitated with additional support before the next shift goes in. The mine superintendent reviews your report and says absolutely nothing. That silence is your approval. You start studying for the mine foreman certification upgrade to qualify for surface and preparation plant supervision. The ceiling in the section is real and you can feel it pressing down, the exact same way the mountain does. Level 5, the mine superintendent. You're 41. The state mine superintendent certificate required 5 years of certified foreman experience and another examination that took you 2 attempts. Your salary at a mid-size underground operation in Pike County, Kentucky is $105,000 base, with a production bonus structure that pushed your total to $118,000 last year. You are well inside the top tier of the industry and climbing. You run the entire underground operation. 3 sections report to you through their foreman. The ventilation officer reports to you. The mine engineer reports to you on ground control. You sit in on every MSHA inspection, answer every citation, and negotiate every abatement timeline. The federal inspector knows your name and you know his car. That relationship is not friendly, and it is not adversarial. It is professional in the way 2 men are professional when they both understand that the paperwork between them is the only thing keeping a mine open. But the coal market is the variable you cannot control and cannot stop watching. In 2008, Central Appalachian thermal coal peaked above $140 per ton. By 2020, it fell below $50. The Energy Information Administration projects U.S. coal production declining every year through 2050. 43 coal mines closed in Appalachia between 2019 and 2023. You have watched 4 operations within 30 miles of yours go dark. The production bonus keeps you focused on tonnage numbers. Tonnage keeps the mine open. The mine staying open keeps 340 families in this county drawing a paycheck. You don't have the luxury of thinking about the long game every day, but you think about it on Sunday mornings when the mine is quiet and you do your weekly review alone in the office with a cup of coffee that went cold an hour ago. The owner calls you in March. He's 71, and his son is in Charlotte working in finance. He tells you he's had an offer for the operation. Then he asks if you've ever thought about ownership. You have. You've thought about it for 6 years. Level 6. The owner. You're 48. The acquisition took 14 months to close. You bought a 60% interest in a 4-section underground operation in McDowell County with a financial partner who wanted the asset and needed an operator who actually knew the mountain. The purchase price was $4.2 million for the operation, the equipment, and the surface rights. You put in $600,000 of your own capital, the savings of 30 years of underground work, every production bonus, every scrimped vacation, and every truck you drove until the frame rusted out. The royalty structure runs $3.50 to $5 per ton to the mineral rights holder on top of your operating costs. Operating cost per ton runs $55 to $75. The coal sells at market. In a good year, the margin works. In a bad year, you are personally liable for the payroll of 180 people and the debt service on $2.8 million in equipment financing. You refinanced your house in year 2 when the market softened and the bank got nervous. Your wife knew you would before you even told her. She'd been married to a coal miner for 26 years. In year 4, the operation clears $1.1 million in owner distributions between you and your partner. In year 6, you buy him out. The mine is completely yours. You are 56 years old and you own a coal mine in McDowell County, West Virginia, which is either the best sentence in the English language or the most complicated one, depending on the week. You read the Energy Information Administration reports the way you used to read the roof, looking for signs before the fall. You've started diversifying, a property in the industrial park outside Welch, conversations with a solar developer about the surface acres above old sealed sections. The mountain gave you everything. Now you are trying to decide what you owe it back. You're 61 now. The mine runs on the strength of men you trained, foremen you certified, and operators you put on machines when they were 22 and didn't know the difference between a split and a crosscut. The new red hat on day shift is 18 years old. He rode the man trip in for the first time this morning. You watched him from the portal on the security camera. He sat with his head up until the roof dropped to 54 inches somewhere around Survey Station 14, and his hard hat took the hit. He'll learn. They all learn. The mountain has been teaching that lesson since 1883, when the first shaft went down in McDowell County, and the first man came back up covered in coal dust, and went back down the next morning anyway. The check clears every month. The mine breathes in and out with the ventilation fans you specified yourself 12 years ago. The belt runs. The section makes its footage. And somewhere in the dark, 4,000 feet from the portal, a continuous miner operator is watching the roof, running his methane checks, and cutting coal the exact way Dale taught you to on your first week underground. Back when the mountain didn't know your name yet and you didn't know enough to be afraid. You knew enough by week 2. You went back down anyway. That was the whole trick.